Coach, this is going to be a very raw, unedited run through of what I think you really need to hear. And that is if you are stuck between 40 to 70 clients now, this is why, and this is going to be super, super applicable to you. So before I get into it, if you are not between the 40 to 70 kind of client mark, this might not be the video for you. If you're below 40 clients and you're just starting out, you'd be better off not to watch this video and just go out and focus on getting more clients. If you are over the 70 mark, you'll probably just be nodding along. You might learn a little bit, but chances are you need to have a chat with me to talk about more advanced stuff. But if you haven't nailed these basics and you're already over 70 clients, it's just going to have like massive impact if you do nail these as well. But if you are within that bracket, this is going to be super, super applicable and useful for you right now if you want to scale past that. Now, before we get into it too much, if you're not too familiar with me, like why should you even listen? I have worked with loads and loads of coaches. I've been hired by mentorships. I've worked on the systems inside mentorships. And yeah, if you want to go see the client results, just check out my Instagram. There's going to be piles of them there, just literally with it. And I used to be a coach as well. I do have a background in exercise, nutrition, science. So I know what I'm talking about when it comes to the actual coaching part of it as well. Right, let's jump into the content now. So, what is the real problem right now? Well, unfortunately, this is going to be uncomfortable for a lot of you to hear. You are mad about getting your clients to track the details. They have to track the calories, the steps, the workout adherence, the sleep patterns, any mindset shifts, getting them to check in, all this kind of stuff. But when it comes to you tracking the incoming leads and the sources they came from, the follow-up conversion rates, the message conversion rates, the client retention, the drop-offs, the administrative time spent on activities, and then all the actual client capacity, like once we get to a certain point, when are we actually maxed out? When it comes to tracking all of that stuff, we're not the best. And here's a little phrase I like to use. If your MyFitnessPal has better data than your business, that's an issue. If you are putting everything into MyFitnessPal and you're not putting everything into tracking your business, we have a problem. Now, you're going to say, but it's really hard to track all that kind of stuff. Don't worry. This can be fully automated where you don't actually have to track these kinds of things. You can get your leads, your follow-ups, like all this data and dashboards and everything to track automatically for you. And we will be talking about that. So don't write it off straight away. Just understand, yes, uncomfortable to hear, but you needed to hear it. Now, let's move on. So at the moment, if you're between that 40 to 70 client mark, you might find that you're kind of hitting this kind of ceiling. And it's the typical pain cycle that a lot of coaches go through where they will add new clients. But when they add new clients, it means that there's more admin work that needs to be done for those clients. More admin work, it takes away a little bit of the coaching. And then from there, they've hit their kind of growth ceiling where it's like, I can't add in any more clients. I'm going to have more check-ins, more onboarding, more follow-ups, all this stuff to do. And I can't take on anymore. And unfortunately, that leaves you to all of this inconsistent onboarding. You have delays in your check-ins where it's taken you, let's say, 3 days to get through your check-ins every week. Not ideal. You miss follow-ups with either leads or past clients or even current clients when they're messaging you, which is even worse. You have scattered notes where you're having coaching calls and check-ins, and you have all these different books and documents and Notion tabs that you're using to try to keep track of everything. And then when you're set up like this, your clients are not going to get the same experience. The people who kick up the most fuss are actually going to get the best coaching, and the people who are doing the best, they're not going to get it because you're in like a reactive mode instead of like a proactive mode because of all this stuff happening. So with this, we have two options. You can either say, right, I'm going to stay exactly where I am. I'm going to stay busy. I'm going to keep the same level of income that I have, and I'm going to keep the same level of clients. If that's you and you're between that mark, that is absolutely fine, but just stop watching the video right now because the rest of the stuff, it just will not appeal to you. If you are somebody who's thinking, right, well, my mentor said I need to hire, this is what people generally do. They go, right, I'm going to hire somebody. I'm going to get like a VA or an admin or an assistant coach, new payroll, time consuming to train them. Then you have to manage them. And then there's greater complexities to how the business is actually run. And it went from this, let's say, one person solo business to now you're building a team just because it sounds cool. We're not building the Avengers here. We need to make sure that we're running a really profitable business that can be scalable and it runs the way that you want it. Maybe you want to have a massive team. Maybe you just want to have 50 other coaches working underneath you. But even still, you'll have to focus on the systems. But if we just focus on this route right here, where we're like, right, let's hire more people and that will be fine, that'll fix our issue. Not really. Most coaches, they don't need to hire people, they need fewer manual tasks. And I'm going to show you why. So the old way is we get clients, which adds more admin. So we're like, shit, we're going to hire a team. So we hire a team. Now we have less profit. So now we need to do more marketing and get more clients. And then we keep going through this cycle until we just go up to a ceiling and we have to hire again. And then we unlock a new ceiling and we keep hiring and hiring and hiring. Yes, we can do that. But every time that we do that, profit gets lower and we start to have to manage more things. Now, I'm going to show you another way, not saying that you have to do it, but this might be a bit more appealing to you. We automate, we systemize, and then we delegate. So the first thing that we do is we automate any repetitive tasks that do not need to be completed by a human. Very important. After that, any tasks that need to be completed by a human need to have a system or a process to follow. So instead of being like, hey, I need you to give a check-in call to this client, it would be, hey, you're going to have a check-in call with this client at this exact time in the journey. On the call, you're going to focus on X, Y, and Z and have a structure through that process. Makes sense? And then from there, any parts that can't be systemized, any part that has been systemized, you can then delegate the lower value ones of those. And I'm going to go through a kind of framework to help you decide what is going to be for each of them. But it's important that we could, like, if we just went straight to hiring and we didn't follow this process, we could hire somebody to be doing something that could have just been automated by one Zap. We could be getting somebody to do something that's seriously inefficient and it's just costing way more. And then we could actually be delegating out stuff that we shouldn't really delegate if we want the business to still run the way that we initially set it up to be. So let's have a look first. Now, a lot of you hold this kind of belief that if we add in automation, it strips away the personality and the personal touch out of your business. Absolute horseshit. But it can do if it's done incorrectly. What we want to think about with the automation is like if you have a one-to-one coaching business and then you decide all check-ins are going to be an AI robot and all the training is going to be done by AI and all this, yeah, it will probably end up taking away the personal touch that you had with the clients. But that's not what you're going to do. What you're going to do is you're going to use automation to first remove all of the cognitive load and make it more scalable. So if you are constantly doing stuff like, for example, the onboarding, if in your onboarding process, you manually have to remember to go in and send the client a PDF, that client does not give a shit how that PDF came through. They give a shit that they got the PDF. So why not just automate that in the onboarding process? You don't have to think about it. It's done automatically. The same comes to the offboarding. If when somebody offboards, they're supposed to get like an exit survey, but you normally have to remember to do that. What if it just did it for you? Or what if when leads inquire, they need to be put into a list and then your VA has to reach out to them? What if it just does it automatically and they're ready to go? So we're doing the automation to remove the cognitive load. So then you have more time and more energy to focus on being personal in the spaces that matter in the business to you. So for example, if you removed half of the admin time, you'd have, let's say, an extra 5 to 10 hours per week that you could actually spend on sales or actual coaching. It's up to you which you do with it. So we need to get over that kind of belief that it makes it robotic. Absolutely not. So what do we actually automate? Here's just 3 examples of like what we would generally kind of look at first inside the business. First thing, like lead tracking. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't even track their leads, but then when they do and they're trying to manually track them, a lot of the time it's all over the place. We want our leads to be tracked automatically for us. We can track it from keyword automation, people filling in application forms, downloading lead magnets, booking calls, canceling calls, like all of this kind of stuff. It sends signals that we can grab and then we can automate that process. And then tracking the data that goes along with it, like how many leads came in, what was their show rate or close rate, cash collected, cash contracted, all that kind of stuff, tracking and put into dashboards. So we actually have the data on the business. Onboarding, completely automate, absolutely every time automate that. And then check-ins. We're not automating check-ins, but we're building systems around the check-ins so that when people check in, they're not just filling in like a stagnant form. We can use more advanced stuff there. And we're going to go into each of these. So what would a lead tracker have to do? The first thing is we want live lead tracking. So as soon as somebody DMs like a keyword, we want them to automatically populate into your lead tracker. If they fill in a coaching application, we want them to grab that same contact and then say, hey, they've now completed a coaching application. So it moves them in the call funnel. If we see that they booked a call, it will then move them. If we see that they cancel a call, it will move them. If they bought a micro offer, it will link it to their profile. So all of this stuff should be tracked automatically for you in a database. So then we can look at our lead pipeline and be like, right, well, we have all these leads here. If we did want to do any like manual warm outreach, we have all this information on these lead profiles that we can then act on. Then we also had the call tracking and call summaries. So we wanted to automatically track any sales calls that we have with the AI summary and the transcript. And then we want to be able to track, like, right, what did we offer this person? So if they didn't close and we reach out to them again later, we literally have the exact call, the transcript. We can click a button and open up the call to see exactly what we said to them. And we'll have context on what to follow up with them. You could even set it up where the AI will do sales trainer recommendations and say, hey, this was good, but maybe next time do X, Y, and Z. And if you're going to reach out to them again, here's an idea, and it will help you actually reach out to them. Then we want to be able to see, like, right, follow-ups. We want to have like just like this little demo here. We want to have it where as soon as we follow up with somebody, we just drop it into the folder and then or the list, and it will automatically set the next contact date. When that's due, they move into our follow-up list. So you can literally have a list that every day it's not like, all right, who should I message about what? You just go in there, you'll see the list of all the people. You contact all the people for warm outreach, and then from there you set it off, you forget it, and then it will repopulate again the next day. So stuff like that, massive time saver. And then pipelines and dashboards. So like being able to see on the dashboard what's actually going on with the data, how many leads, how many calls booked, what's our show rate or close rate, cash collected, cash contracted, where did the leads come from, of the leads that actually closed, where did they come from? All this kind of stuff should be automated. Then what about our onboarding? I'm going to use my client Les here as an example. So with the onboarding, this is one way that you could do it. It's going to be slightly different for every business, but the same principles apply. It always starts with a payment trigger. So as soon as a person signs up, there's a few things that we want to happen. We want them to get acknowledged that they just signed up, so that we're trying to remove buyer's remorse pretty much straight away. And we also want to get them added into our CRM. So for him, payment comes in from Stripe, it creates them inside Airtable, and then from there, the welcome email is sent with all the details. So you can see that actual automation there. The next part then is the client completes their intake form, which they received in their welcome email. You could put a contract step in before there as well, which works perfect. And then from there, you can get them added into the coaching app. And then you can get any add-on programs. So like if they need to receive like weekly check-in messages or like specific habits or call reminders or a nutrition PDF that everybody gets, like it can all be added automatically. You'll see here that's literally what's happening in this automation. And then he has different tiers, whether it's one-to-one or like a lower ticket offer. And then we have program selection. So we can actually get it to have a look at the intake form and go, right, well, out of all those base programs, let's start off with this base program and then let them know any other changes that might need to happen. So what this solves is like no more having to add people to the apps and see, did they do this? Did they not do this? Like, did they complete their intake form? There's no more like fixing your like start dates or like, oh shit, this fella didn't have a reminder for the check-in. This fella, you were supposed to have a call in 2 weeks time. I'll have to remember that. Like just automate that entire process. So all of that is done just by the point of payment. And then from there, automation takes care of the rest. So that takes away all the onboarding for every new client. So you've gotten rid of that new extra admin that normally comes, and infinitely scalable. No brainer. Next part is logic-based check-in. So a lot of coaches, they use the same kind of check-in form every week. Not ideal. It's like having a conversation saying, hey, how's everything been? They said, everything's fucked. Everything's bad. I'm really struggling with this. And then you say, what are the wins for the week? No, we would have it like a real conversation. So we can build like logic-based check-ins to be dynamic depending on how their week is going. And yeah, we set it up in Typeform like that. So every week when they're completing the check-in, it's actually suited to meet them where they're at. And then it gives the coach better data. So it will speed up the check-in process. This is part of the check-ins that we use for one of my clients. Charlie got him down from 3 days of check-ins to just 4 hours. So definitely check that out. Now, with all these automations, what exactly do we automate first? Because it's going to be slightly different for everybody. This is a little framework that you can use, and it makes it super clear, and you can just keep rerunning this like infinite time. So look at one area of your business. Let's take onboarding, for example, and then just draw this out on your page. So all the steps in your onboarding process is like, right, well, I send a person a PDF, like, right, it doesn't take that much time, but it's not really that valuable. So it would be in this box here. Orange, like it's up to you whether you automate it or delegate it. Some of that, I just say automate it. If something takes a lot of time, that's not a lot of value for the client. So that would be going setting them up on all the different coaching apps and adding them to your CRM and sending out the contract and sending the welcome email. Takes a long time. It doesn't really matter to the client where that comes from, just that it actually happens. So I would 100% automate that. Stuff like a 15-minute or maybe a half an hour coaching call. It doesn't take that long, but at the very start with a new client, they really value that kind of thing. So maybe I wouldn't automate that process and just take that lens throughout your business. So we have low time, low value, high value. Just jot everything down into those quadrants. And then from there, like automate, possibly systemize, delegate, or automate, and then keep manual here. Use that formula. It works every single time. It's super, super simple. So to help you out with this, I do have some free resources on this, not on everything, but there are some resources inside Automations Vault, and this is something that I continuously add to it. There's like automating or onboarding the contracts. There's the building logic inside Typeform and all that kind of stuff. There's ManyChat, DM automations. There's loads of like plug and play systems that you can just steal and implement in your business. Now, they're not as good as the stuff that I do with my clients, but if you're watching this video and you found that stuff useful, you're definitely going to find this useful. So go check that out. To do it, just underneath this video here, there should be a link to the school community. Click on that. Now I manually approve them. So just if you're waiting too long and you think I might have missed you, just drop me a message or something on Instagram and I'll make sure that you get inside there. And then if you're like, yeah, absolutely need all this, and you're like, yeah, I just want to have a chat with you to see what's actually like to work with you one-to-one, what exactly I would do for your business, then this is going to be for you. So drop me a message on Instagram with the word offer. And then when you do that, ManyChat will basically send you over the full offer document. It will show you exactly what it entails to work with me one-to-one. It will show you exactly the kind of results that we get for the clients, and then, yeah, how you can actually get started. So any questions on this, do not hesitate. Pop it over to me. Hopefully you found that valuable. And yeah, free stuff below, or drop me a message with the word offer. All of the details are in the description.